Welcome, this is Jeremy Zwinger from the Rice Trader. Just welcoming all of you to this week's Rice Trader Summary. It's a pleasure to be here. Last week I was traveling the Midwest where I got to see some of the grand U.S. agricultural commodities going through about 7 states in about 7 days. So it was just interesting going from wheat, corn, soybeans, and rice in such a large area. But back to rice. Obviously, it's a very interesting week, although the World Cup is still going on and there's still a lot of focus to that. And there was, of course, the U.S. holiday of July 4th this week. So it was a bit of a slower week in one way and a very interesting week in other ways. I think the story has to start with Thailand this week. And again, I've been very negative. We have one of the highest stocks in rice since 2000, 2001. It's tough for prices to run when you have such high stocks in rice, and wheat is so high as well. In fact, the eaten food commodities, rice and wheat, are at the highest point in many decades. It's amazing if you put those two together how much food commodities there are. So overall, it still remains negative. But back to Thailand, I mean, you're looking at prices that are just amazing. You're talking Thai 100% B quoted at 385, probably bought cheaper even than this. 5% even lower. You know, if you look at comparative to 5% in Vietnam, 420, Pakistan 440, India 405. It's amazing how cheap Thai is. So I'm going to say this: if anybody's out there, I would say it's pretty obvious to the world that the best and cheapest origin is Thai. I mean, it's a no-brainer. If there was ever a time to choose an origin for the best value for your money, it's definitely Thailand right now. You just don't see this discount for Thai rice very often, and definitely not at this level. I mean, you're talking a $55 discount from Pakistan. A $30 difference to, or excuse me, a $20 difference to India. This is amazing. Really a good buy for the money in the current price situation. And again, that has to be the story. You're starting to see demand shift there. On the same note, trade, although there has been a slowdown a bit in China, which we go through later in the TRT in the special Asian section, you're definitely seeing a heavy year. And we're up 5.83% on the year from last year's record, which just shows even though the supplies are very large, demand is aggressive. You got Thailand up 7.9%, which is amazing, and India is still running at a 3.67% gain. India is still leading from 6.4 million metric tons already, and Thailand's just below at 5.9. And one might say that Thailand might even catch up in these price spreads. You could see India slow way down, especially with the election issues, and Thailand dramatically speed up. So it's definitely going to be interesting with these fundamentals behind it. Besides that, key point number 2, or even 3 if you take the demand record, this U.S.-China trade war is a very significant issue. It went in effect this morning in the U.S. It's especially effective to soybeans, and that's why you're seeing this massive spread between Brazilian soybeans and U.S., with the U.S. at a huge discount. It's going to affect the U.S. agricultural trade. They also put a tariff on rice. Not that it matters, since there's a non-tariff trade barrier between China and us right now, and they can't trade anyway to China. But these tariffs would definitely affect any products going to China. And there's no clear path in sight of when this trade war will end. It may go on, there may be heavy negotiations, but it's definitely going to affect the agricultural system. I mean, related to this, there's talks of oil running. There's talks of, even with the increase in production in Saudi Arabia, even some calling it above $100 a ton. With the U.S. production coming on, we find this a little bit unlikely, but it definitely needs to be watched. Outside of this, I just think it's an interesting time. I would note that in addition to this Thai thing, we find U.S. prices are also dramatically overpriced, while Thai is probably underpriced. We're still calling U.S. at $580 per metric ton. That would be a $200 premium to Thailand. This can't continue, or Asian rice should flood the Latin American environment. It's not a logical price spread, and the U.S. crop is very large. So, like anything, things will come into balance. I would say that I feel the U.S. rice futures is dramatically overvalued because of this. It's based upon the current spread, and this seems extremely unlikely we'll be able to continue with the large crop coming, large global supplies, large wheat supplies. and some trade issues with China. Outside of this, we're going to continue to do these market summaries. If you'd like to send in samples or merchandise, we'll start showing a few samples throughout the world, whether that's tire ice, Me and Marine's ice, wherever. Send your brands in, and it's kind of a thing, just an interesting point on the video. We'll start showing people that send us their brands and samples throughout the world, and any other thoughts you might have to improve the quality. We just like to entertain those. Obviously, we have the World Conference coming up October 10th to 12th. Please get your hotel rooms for Vietnam and Hanoi. I think it's going to be a very large conference, and I'm very much looking forward to it. With that, I'm signing off. I hope you guys have a great week, and look forward to talking to you next week.